قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this live episode of Ask Zad. As usual, we will take 3 questions from the emails and then we will go to your live questions and calls, inshallah. Ikram says, I know cuss words are not appropriate to use, but unfortunately these days our youth are so used to using bad words. It's like embedded in their vocabulary. Can you please explain the severity of using such swear and cuss words in Islam and its punishment in the hereafter? Using curse words, which a lot of the youth and people in general use nowadays, can be sinful and can be blasphemous. It can take a person out of the fold of Islam, especially when it deals with religion. So when someone says holy F or holy S about something. Now, when you say holy, this is something referring to something that is sacred in your religion. When someone says holy cow, he has to be a Hindu because they worship cows. So for a Muslim to use such words, or sometimes may say, Jesus Christ, what's this? Or whatever. These can be sinful and it can take a person out of the fold of Islam. Generally speaking, a Muslim takes great care about the things he says. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, that the cursing of another Muslim is sinful, is fisq. And fighting another Muslim is kufr. And he also said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that a believer, a true mu'min, is not a person who slanders, who curses, or who uses profanity and vulgar language. So these are all indicating that this is sinful. Abu Bakr was at the presence of the Prophet ﷺ when a man came in and started talking ill about Abu Bakr. They probably had something to argue about and there was a dispute, disagreement. So the guy was talking ill about Abu Bakr. And Abu Bakr was not replying, was not reacting. And the Prophet was sitting there, alayhi salatu wasalam. Until it reached a limit where Abu Bakr could not hold himself, so he replied to the man exactly in the same fashion. Here, the Prophet stood up and left, alayhi salatu wasalam. So Abu Bakr said, O Prophet of Allah, the guy was saying these evil things and bad things about me and you didn't do anything. And when I defended myself, you said, you stood up and left. The Prophet said, As-salam, while he was saying what he was saying, there was an angel defending you and replying to him. The moment you replied to him, the angel left and a devil came in his place, and I would not sit in a place where devils sit. So this is something that every Muslim should be careful not to use vulgar language or bad words, because this impacts his heart, it tarnishes his record books, and he would be sinful for that. The second question is from Sumayya, and Sumayya says, while memorizing a verse containing sujood, prostration, do I need to go for sujood each time I read or say it? The answer is no. This is not mandatory, and even if you deliberately skip it, not while memorizing it, rather but while reciting it, there's no sin in that, insha'Allah. And finally, Farah says, I've read somewhere that hell has a cold portion called Zamharir. And there is a hadith or a dua that would prevent us from going there. And this dua says, Allahumma ajirni min zamhariri jahannam. Is this authentic? Now, we know that hellfire is divided into two different portions of torment. There is extreme heat and there is extreme cold. And the extreme cold is called Zamharir. And there are different types of torment in hellfire. Things that take you up and things that take you down. Things that you drink and would burn your intestines, your face, it's horrible. Different types of torments. And one of the types is the extreme cold. And one does not imagine how can cold be a form of torment until he hears about frostbites and how people lose their fingers and limbs due to cold. If you notice that some type of gases are so cold that they would burn you, like nitrogen, liquid nitrogen. If it comes in contact with your flesh, it burns it. So it is a form of torment. Is the hadith authentic? The answer is no. The hadith is not authentic. However, if someone is living in Canada or up north where it's freezing like 20 or 30 degrees below zero, and he simply asks Allah to protect him from az-zamharir in hellfire, which we know that is authentic and there's nothing wrong in that, providing he doesn't say it with the conviction that this is a hadith, because it's not a hadith and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. So we take Rishad from Tunisia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Sampullah.
First of all, taqabbalallahu.
Ameen. Minna wa minkum.
My question is, what is the ruling of the woman covering her hands in salah? And should she cover all of her hand or the back of her hand? Jazakallah khair.
Okay. Wa jazak. Second question is from Fidan from Turkey.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Sampullah.
So my question is, I have to give zakat, but I don't know like a poor or needy person personally, but I know a few people who are on the streets and they sell like towels and tissues, and one of them is living on a wheelchair. So can I go up to them and ask them if they're in need of money and if they're Muslim, and then just trust them, like trust their word and give it to them by judging what's apparent?
What did you say before the wheelchair? Someone who is what?
Like they sell tissues and towels, and like they seem poor or needy, but I don't know like for sure what's their condition.
Okay, I will answer inshallah. And Abdullah from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu wa barakatuh.
I just saw a YouTube clip from a Muslim speaker.
I don't understand what you're saying, Abdullah.
I just saw a YouTube video from a Muslim speaker. He said that having intercourse with
I'm afraid I can't understand you. Please call us from a clearer line, inshallah. Binyamin from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
How are you, Sheikh?
I'm doing well, alhamdulillah, Binyamin. What can I do for you, akhi?
Alhamdulillah. Can I ask two questions, please?
One, please.
Okay. So there is a so-called scholar who said that you can keep dogs as pets.
You can keep what?
A dog as a
Dogs,
pet.
okay.
And what happened was, she said that the hadith is that angels don't enter the house if there's a dog, is only applied to the Prophet. So I just replied and said that it's still not allowed to keep dogs as pets, and I brought hadith to prove it. And they said that Imam Malik, he said you could keep dogs as pets outside. So am I ignorant or are they being ignorant?
Okay, I will answer inshallah. Muhammad Farhan from the Philippines.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Samtullah.
Hi, Sheikh.
Alhamdulillah. How are you doing, Muhammad?
I'm fine, Sheikh. Alhamdulillah. So my question, Sheikh, is, Sheikh, I am 18 years old now, and I just started college and applying courses in college. I really want to study Islamic studies as my first choice, and my second choice is to become a doctor. Here in our country, I can study Islamic studies and becoming a doctor. But what I really want is to apply and study Islamic studies in Islamic universities in Saudi Arabia, because Islamic universities in Saudi Arabia are the best and reliable when it comes to Islamic studies. What's your question, Sheikh? Should I apply and study Islamic studies in Saudi Arabia? And while waiting to get accepted, I also study here to become a doctor, because it takes time to get accepted in Islamic universities in Saudi Arabia, and use the time in studying to become a doctor and
Okay.
to earn good salary.
I will answer you, inshallah. Abu Hafs from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, my question is, inshallah, about nutmeg. And most of the people of our country believe in the opinion that the nutmeg is permissible to eat, but in limited proportions. Now, there's a brother who believes in what we believe, that nutmeg is not permissible in any amount. Now, Sheikh, he was invited to a relative's house and he was offered a dish. Now, that dish is well known. It is well known that people give nutmeg in that dish. So he ate that and he forgot to ask his relative about whether nutmeg was used. And he later got to know that asked that, will his prayers for 40 days be rejected, and is there any expiation?
Okay, I will answer inshallah. And we have Nashim from the Philippines.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Samtullah.
I have one question, Sheikh.
Yes.
I need some of your advice, Sheikh. I want to give dawah in social media, but I don't know the set of rules of giving dawah in the social media, and I don't have enough Islamic knowledge. So what's the first thing that I should do, Sheikh?
Okay, I will answer inshallah. And we have Zulkar from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Samtullah.
Sheikh, my question is, someone gave me a chart and it was written in Arabic and told me to hang it on a wall so that I will be safe from shaitan. And I heard that this sort of stuff is black magic. After knowing that, I have thrown it away through the window. So is it okay to do that?
Okay, I will answer inshallah. Kaif from India.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Samtullah.
Sheikh, is it permissible to seek help from non-Muslims, like borrowing money, and also to tell about the family? Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazakum. And Labib from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Samtullah.
We have a custom in here in the Indian subcontinent, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, India, that when the brother-in-law comes, we take the money. Now the question is, Sheikh,
I did not understand your question, Labib. You have a custom in the subcontinent to take money from whom?
From the groom.
From the groom. Yani the family of the girl, they force the groom to distribute money to them.
No, it's not forcing. It's like we
make a gate, and while he's going through the gate, he gives money to the relatives of.
Yes, Sheikh. Now the question is that some of them scholars are saying that it's not permissible because we don't know whether they are giving it willingly or not willingly. And the question is it permissible for us to take, though we don't know that he is giving it willingly or not willingly?
Okay, I will answer inshallah. Taimur from the UK. Samtullah.
What's the Islamic ruling on nationalism?
What do you mean by nationalism?
When people are too proud of their country and disregard other people of their country and stuff like that.
Okay, I will try to address this. Sidi from Germany.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Sheikh, what's the ruling of the people who are living in a country with an iqama where they didn't attain it legally from an authority but brought it from someone with the name and the information of the owner who owned the iqama before? For example, a person wants to migrate and live in the country, but it's very difficult for him to attain iqama there with his name. So he bought for...
He bought? Sidi? Okay, I think we lost Sidi. Halima from France.
Someone of the...
Halima?
Or Afrik.
Or, okay guys, do we have Sidi or Halima?
Salam alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam tullah.
Yes, sir. Actually, I have a question. If a Muslim that have like every second a bad thought and whisperings of Satan, and also feels like something is talking on his tongue and makes him lose control, and also urges him to cause someone or everybody, like he feels the thing normally urges him to cause and thinks about bad things and everything. What is he supposed to do?
Okay, I will answer inshallah. Ahnaf from Bangladesh. Salamullah.
What should a Muslim do if he has thoughts like, can God be a man? And I ended up searching for it in internet. So am I sinful for that?
Okay, I will answer you inshallah. And we have Riyal from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Sheikh, my question is, can we force our best or close friends to go masjid?
On gunpoint, or how do you force them?
They are best friends in Islam.
Yeah, how do you force them? By gunpoint or what?
No, sorry, just they are, we are just stay all this time. We stay and so can we force or not?
Okay, Aryan Madid from India.
Yes, Sheikh, I have a question. Actually, not a question, but I want to become a Hafiz. So give me some advice to become Hafiz.
Okay. I will answer you, inshallah. And Sadiqa from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Salamullah wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, one of my aunt, she is a Muslim and she prays five times, but she and her children worship her husband's graveyard, and she makes money out of it.
What does she do?
She makes money out of it.
Out of it, of what?
Worshipping the graveyard. She called everyone to worship the graveyard, and they give money to her. They udhiya there, lots of things, a festival like a thing.
Okay.
And my relatives try to convince her that this is shirk, but she don't convince, and she used to believe that her husband is a special person. So should I need to maintain my kinship with her as I maintain my kinship with other relatives?
Okay, I will answer inshallah. Mujtaba from India. Mujtaba.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Sheikh, I have a problem with waswas, but the thing is, when I have the waswas, in my mind I have like two options. If, for example, if I'm reciting the tahiyyat, I have a problem that in my mind I get waswas that if you repeat the same word, you have a chance to get your prayer accepted, but if you don't, your prayer is going to be invalid. So whenever I have waswas, it's like I have two options, whether it's Jannah or Jahannam. So how should I deal with it?
Okay, I will answer you inshallah. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminded us through his guidance and example that Islam is complete submission to the will of Allah. For one who submits, a mere declaration or display of belief will not be taken for success, but his or her heart and soul will certainly be put to test. Allah tested the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam severely in order that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam becomes an example for his companions to follow. Similarly, he tests the believer to see whether he lives a righteous life in accordance with the instructions and commands set by Allah, or lives according to what his desires dictate. Whether the faith he displays is firmly rooted in his heart, or is it merely on the surface. He will be tested to see whether he will continue to have faith and love of Allah when in a calamity, as he does when in comfort, whether he will continue to remember and worship him if given bounties and comforts of life, as he does when he lives a modest life. Allah will undoubtedly test him to see if his faith, trust and love of him is unconditional, or is it conditioned upon good health and a comfortable life, free from stress and anxiety. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us through his own example that for a righteous Muslim, this life is a testing ground where he will continue to be tested until he meets Allah. For him, tests will be conducted on earth while he lives, and not after he dies. He knows that as soon as death arrives and he steps into the next world, his tests are over. There, he only receives the result of his tests and enjoys the fruits of the deeds that he committed during a short span of time called life.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back. Rashad from Tunisia says, what's the ruling on covering the hands for women in salat, or is it permissible to cover the back of the hand? The answer is, if there are no non-mahram men, it is prohibited to cover the face or the hands. She must not cover them in salat. But if there are non-mahram men looking at her, then she is obliged to do that. Fidan from Turkey, she says, there is zakat due upon her, but she doesn't know any poor people. So is it possible for her to go to those beggars on the streets, those who sell napkins and tissues, or who are on wheelchairs, and ask them if they are people of zakat, they're poor or needy? The answer is no, generally speaking, because most likely these people are professional beggars, and they're probably richer than you and me. You must fulfill this pillar of Islam by asking those around you. So ask your relatives, ask your neighbors. They would definitely know truly poor people who are unable to pay the rent, who are unable to buy medication, who are unable to renew their residency in that country due to the fact that they are immigrants, like the Syrian immigrants, etc. Then you can give them from the zakat, inshallah. Benjamin from the UK, he says, I heard a scholar saying that it is permissible to keep a dog as a pet, and the hadith refers only to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Akhi, this is not a scholar, this is an ignorant imbecile. And you should not take your religion from any Tom, Dick, or Harry. This is religion. When you have stomachache, you don't go to a mechanic. You don't go to a dentist. You go to a proper doctor, physician, who knows and have studied what you're talking about. When a person rejects the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ by quoting that Imam Malik permitted taking dogs as pets, keeping them outside the house, this means that this guy doesn't understand what Islam is. Who is Malik? Who is Abu Hanifa? Who is Ahmad ibn Hanbal? Who is Shafi'i compared to the Prophet ﷺ? They're nothing. They're no one. Yes, to us, they're great imams. But our greatest of them all is the Prophet ﷺ, whom we are ordered to follow what he taught us. Muhammad from the Philippines, he's 18 years old. He wants to study. He's at a crossroad. Should he study engineering or medicine to become a doctor or an engineer and earn money? Or should he apply to Islamic universities in Saudi Arabia, come and study 6 years or 7 years and become a graduate of an Islamic university, not knowing will that put food on the table or not? If you have this concept at the back of your mind, I would clearly say to you, go and study medicine. Don't come and study Islamic studies, because if you don't have the drive that would make you tolerate hardship, if you're the kind of person that needs a certain standard of living, then studying and teaching and working in Islamic education is not your cup of tea. It doesn't pay. It fulfills your iman. It gets you closer to Allah. But it doesn't allow you to buy a new car every 3-4 years. It doesn't allow you to invest and have money and give right, left, and center, like worldly education does. So it all depends on your drive, on your conviction, on your amount of patience and tolerance for the deen. If you don't have it in you, akhi, don't have high aspirations thinking that, oh, I'm going to be a scholar, without knowing that it's a difficult road to cross. Nevertheless, you can combine and have both at the same time. So you can do your medicine and you can apply to online universities where you will learn a little bit about Islam on your terms. Of course, unlike the focused and concentrated education you would get in Saudi universities, but at least you can combine between both and make a win-win, inshallah. Abu Hafs from Bangladesh, he's asking about nutmeg. And one of the viewers, Allah khair, they corrected me. I'm always saying nutmeg. And then they said, that's very funny, it's not meg. Well, sue me. What can I do? I'm not an English native speaker, so it's good that I can communicate with you guys in English. So nutmeg. A person who believes it's haram goes to dine at a house of Muslims. They serve a dish which is well known to contain nutmeg, and he eats unknowingly. Would his prayers be unaccepted for 40 days? The answer is no. He did not know the ruling, and therefore Allah would not hold him accountable for that. Nashim from the Philippines, he says, what are the rules of da'wah in social media? And for someone who does not have knowledge, akhi, this is a no-brainer. If you do not possess the necessary knowledge, it is prohibited for you to make da'wah, because you'll cause more harm than benefit. So your first step is to learn your religion, to know more about Islam, to study the Quran, to study the Sunnah. So when you speak with knowledge. It's not a gut feeling that you are arguing with others over. No, it has to be with concrete evidences from the Quran and the Sunnah and from the scholars who are trusted before you open your mouth. Once you possess the necessary, obligatory knowledge of Islam, then we go to the etiquettes of giving da'wah, to prioritize the pros and the cons, to measure and outweigh the consequences of what you're going to say, and this requires more elaboration. Zulkar from Bangladesh, a man gave him something to hang on the wall to prevent evil eye, black magic, etc. So it's a sort of a ta'weez in large size. So he did this, and then he figured out that this is haram, so he threw it from the window. Did he do the right thing? The answer is no. He should have burnt it with fire while reciting the last three qul. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, qul a'udhu falaq, qul rabbin nas. But as he disposed of it without doing this, I hope there is nothing wrong in that, inshallah. Kaif from India, he says, can we seek the assistance of non-Muslims in terms of consultation, in terms of borrowing money? Whatever is halal, there's no problem in seeking their help. We know that the Prophet ﷺ hired a kafir to guide him and Abu Bakr from Mecca to Medina while migrating. So hiring such a kafir was permissible. If you want to borrow from a kafir, this is also permissible. It is well established in the authentic Sunnah that the Prophet ﷺ pawned his shield with a Jew in exchange of a sa' of barley. So he borrowed this barley and he pawned his shield with this Jew, and the Prophet died with the shield being with the Jew. So the Prophet borrowed from a Jew, alayhi salatu wassalam. So this is permissible. What is not permissible is to consult them or to take them as confidants in religion, in things that may impact the Muslims and Islam. So a ruler of a Muslim country is totally prohibited from seeking the consultation of a non-Muslim or appointing a non-Muslim to rule Muslims or to manage Muslims or to be appointed upon them, because this is a breach of al-wala wal-bara. Our allegiance should be only to the Muslims. Yes, if you ask a non-Muslim in something that he's specialized in and no Muslims possess this, okay. But all Muslims, with the grace of Allah, are knowledgeable, if not superior, to these non-Muslims that we bring them and make them in control over our lives and pay them astronomical salaries. So taking them as confidants, consulting them about other Muslims and what to do, this is not permissible. But if he's a shrink, he's a doctor, he's a physician, he's an engineer, and I need him in that specific worldly issue, there is no problem in that, inshallah. Labib from Bangladesh, he says, we have a tradition in Bangladesh that is when the groom comes to collect his wife, we build like an arch and he goes in, and on the side of the entrance there are the relatives, the brothers, the nephews, the cousins, and it's a tradition that he hands money to them. And some scholars say that this is haram because we don't know whether he's giving this money willingly or not. So is it permissible for me to take this money? Well, if the guy is giving it out with a big smile, and he's rich, and he's giving you like 10 taka, not giving you a lot of money, something symbolic, and he's happy, there's no problem in taking it. But if he's marching with a grim face and you feel that his soul is coming with every banknote he's handing to you, then it is not permissible to take it. Generally speaking, it's a cultural thing. If it's not related to Hindus or to disbelievers, there's no problem in that, providing it's within norm, within reason. He's not giving $1,000 each. He's giving them peanuts or pennies, just symbolic. There's no problem in it, inshallah. Taimur from the UK, he says, what's the ruling on nationalism? What is meant by nationalism? When nationalism becomes more important than religion, when nationalism drives you to oppress others, or to be arrogant, or to humiliate and disrespect those who don't share your nationality, this becomes a major sin. Many countries, unfortunately nowadays, I'm talking about many countries among the Muslims. As for the non-Muslims, it's by default. They say that you have to prioritize your passport, your nationality over your religion. They're kafir. So there's no problem in them saying this because they've reached rock bottom. They're in hell. Who cares what they say? Whatever they say, it's blasphemous. But when you come to some Muslim countries and they say that our nationality, our unity is above Islam, this is where it's an act of apostasy. When someone in a humanitarian organization says, my religion is humanity, and it is above all religions, this is an act of apostasy. This cannot be a Muslim who says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Because he's saying that before I testify that there is no God worthy of being worshipped other than Allah, I am giving priority to this nationalism or humanity or whatever they may call it. So in this sense, yes, nationalism is prohibited, if not worse. But if nationalism deals with religion, so if your country establishes Sharia and rules by it, defends Islam, calls people to it, honors the religion, then nationalism is defending the country, honoring the country due to what it does to Islam. And this happens only in countries that implement Sharia, that announce and proclaim Islam to be their religion and constitution, and no one else. CD from Germany, his question wasn't full, but I believe that he was referring to something that is prevailing and apparent in Europe specifically, where lots of immigrants from, unfortunately, Muslim countries, whether crossing the Mediterranean through Libya or elsewhere, or illegal immigrants who came through Eastern Europe, here or there, or by any means, they set foot in these countries and they buy documents. So my name is Asim, I go and say my name is Abdi, and my family's name is so-and-so, and I was oppressed, I was jailed, I was this, it's all lies. And I end up with documents stating that my name is not my real name, and that my birthplace is not my birthplace, giving me a false identity due to the documents that I presented to them, which were false, due to the lies I told them and how I cheated them. So now I'm a totally different person. What is the ruling on that? This is totally prohibited and haram and sinful. And living there is sinful. You did not migrate there because you were fleeing oppression. Rather, you're looking for an easy buck, a higher standard of living. And you had no problem with not bending the rules, breaking all rules to reach your target. By hook or crook, who cares? I just want to reach my objective. Halal, haram, we will ask Allah for forgiveness, maybe make umrah. Nothing, no harm is done. This is totally prohibited and haram, and whatever benefits they're getting from the government with their false identity, this is also haram. And I don't know what kind of a life such people are living. Halima from France, she says there's a person who is overwhelmed by whispers of shaitan. The shaitan speaks on his tongue and he hears this. This person curses and swears and says inappropriate things. What to do? I don't know. If this person is forced to do these things, then he is insane. He cannot be classified as sane. And no one can judge him except Allah. So if I speak in a different tongue and I curse and I swear and I step on the Quran and I say blasphemous things and then I say, whoa, I didn't know I was doing this. This is not me. Something is pushing me. This person is possessed by jinn, or he has black magic, or he has something evil in him. But who to judge him? Allah. Only Allah knows if he's telling the truth or faking it up. What to do? I believe that the best course of action is to perform ruqyah. So this guy, if he's sane in conscience, he should recite ruqyah on himself. Like multiple times during the day and the night. Makes a lot of dua in sujood. And at the last third of the night, and between adhan and iqamah, at the times where Allah answers your dua, that Allah cures him. If he's unable to do that, he should go to someone with sound aqeedah, a raqi, a person who knows how to do ruqyah, and to perform ruqyah on him, asking Allah Azza wa Jal for cure and healing. Allah knows best. Ahnaf from Bangladesh, he says, we have whispers about Allah. And I don't know what to do about these whispers. And he gave an example, and may Allah forgive him for what he had said. Why? Why are you doing dua for him? Because the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah, the Almighty, has forgiven my ummah for my sake. For whatever they cross, whatever intrusive thoughts that cross their minds, as long as they do not talk about it nor act upon it. So Allah has pardoned you for these intrusive thoughts. When you come and say, I have these waswas about Allah being so and so and so and so, you blew your chance because you talked about it. You should not talk about such intrusive thoughts. Okay, Sheikh, I was asking a Sheikh. I was not boasting about it. Well, next time ask the Sheikh in a third person's voice, not altering your own voice. Rather say, Sheikh, someone says that he has intrusive thoughts about Allah in the sense that this and this and this happens. Is this person kafir or not? Not about yourself. Secondly, these intrusive thoughts come because you invited them in. If someone knocks on your door, and I usually use this example in my counseling sessions with OCD people, and you say, who is it? And he says, I'm a house burglar. If you open the door, invite him in, lead him to your living room, and ask him not to steal anything, do you think he would comply? The answer is no. He will clean your house of everything valuable in it. Whose mistake is it then? His or yours? It's not his. This is his nature. and he identified himself before coming in. It's your mistake because you let him in. Likewise, with shaitan intrusive thoughts, it's your mistake for giving shaitan the chance to do this. Okay, Sheikh, how can I block it? Very easy. If you're walking in the middle of the market in Mumbai or Delhi or Dhaka, you will have one beggar, 9-year-old child, walking next to you. Uncle, give me some rupees, give me some taka. Please do this for me. Please, I need to feed my family. My mother is sick. I have to buy some medication. Uncle, please, may Allah take you to Jannah. This child, who's a professional beggar, walks next to you. If you stop for a second to give him some change or to communicate with him and say, why don't you work? Why don't you do something? Where do you live? You will cause another 100 children to rampage you. They will be like swarms over you because you're a potential customer. They will rip you from your wallet, from your watch, from your whatever you're having on you. It's your mistake. The same thing happens with shaitan. You listen to his intrusive thoughts and try to communicate with him, he overwhelms you with 100 more whispers that would make you helpless, would block your thinking from doing any transactions. You cannot think, khalas, you're blinded by this fog and this mist that hampers your sight. What to do? When you walk in the market and the child walks next to you, walk in a fast pace, steady pace, do not pay any attention, do not look at him, do not even pretend that there's something talking to you. After 10 steps, he will leave you and go to someone else. And this is what will happen with shaitan. It is your problem in the beginning, it's your problem in the end. No one can help you unless you want to help yourself by seeking Allah's help. Riyal from Bangladesh. Can we force our friends to go to the masjid with us? I've asked Riyal, but I could not get a proper answer. How do I force my friends to go to the masjid? Force means that I have to have a gun to point at them, a sword, a stick. If I'm their boss, I would threaten them to fire them if they don't go to pray to the masjid. But if they're my peers, they're my friends, they're my buddies, I cannot force them. I can invite them. I can encourage them. Sometimes I can leverage on them by saying that, guys, if you don't pray with me, I'm not going to hang out with you anymore. I can't hang out with people who don't pray. This is a form of arm twisting, but it's not forcing. So can we do something like that? Yes. But can I force them at gunpoint or force them with physical force? The answer is no. I have no right to do any of this. Aryan from India, how can someone be a hafiz? A hafiz is a description to someone who memorizes the Quran. How can I memorize the Quran? There's no one size that fits all. It differs from one person to the other. Some people I know would read one page of the Quran, repeat it 2 or 3 times, and they've memorized it. Other people need to write the page of the Quran 2 or 3 times, and they memorize it. Some people would need to recite it, recitation, 50 times, and they memorize it. So you must look at what is more convenient for your memorization. You have to take a friend or more to revise to one another, because doing it on your own usually is not successful. You tend to lose steam after a few weeks, if not few days. But when you have someone committed to you and with you, you will go long way, inshallah. And you have to memorize a portion and revise a bigger portion every day. Because the more days pass, the more you've memorized, and there's no use of memorizing it without revising it, because it disappears very quickly and you need to accommodate what you have memorized in order not to forget it. And Allah knows best. Siddiqa from Bangladesh, she says her aunt worships graveyards, dargahs, and she collects money from people who would appoint her to do sacrifice, qurbani, for the graves and acts of shirk. This is too generic. I don't know if she's doing this as a form of shirk and she's worshipping the actual graves or not. This is something we have to discuss in details. But hypothetically, if this aunt is a full-fledged mushrika, she worships the grave, she believes firmly that the deceased, the one who's buried, has the ability to benefit her and to protect her from harm's way, and she offers forms of worship to that grave or to that dargah or to that shrine, then in this case, she's an apostate mushrika and you must cut all relations with her. Finally, Mujtaba says, he has whispers of shaitan, and in his prayer, he gets these whispers, compelling, intrusive thoughts that if you do not repeat the words in salat, your prayer is invalid. So he ends up repeating it. And he asks what to do. Well, I would highly advise you to have a counseling session if you can afford it. If not, analyze your situation. At the moment, you can't see. You have fog on your eyes, and this is what's hampering your thinking. You have to clear your sight and analyze with a pen and a paper. Who's bringing me these thoughts? Answer, shaitan. Are you sure? Answer is yes. Then I'm asking you, why are you listening to shaitan? Oh, Sheikh, I don't know, I have these. Don't beat around the bush. Why are you listening to shaitan? You're inviting him in. You're the one who's standing in the middle of the market giving change to a beggar while seeing a swarm of beggars coming to attack you. It's your mistake. So you have to draw the line. You have to think positively. You have to know and learn the tricks of shaitan in order for you to be able to fight it off. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have until we meet you tomorrow at 4 o'clock Mecca time. I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين